There are 6 unspoken triggers that make avoidants think about you nonstop, even when they swear they're over you. And to prove that, I literally became a fly on the wall as I listened in on a secret group therapy session where 6 avoidants finally said the quiet part out loud. What they said was raw, sometimes funny, but mostly haunting because each confession reveals the exact moment you start living rent-free in their head. And they don't even realize why. Welcome to Avoidants Anonymous. Interior church basement night. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, folding chairs in a circle. Kyle stands up holding a half-empty styrofoam cup. He forces a smirk.
Hey, I'm Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
I haven't thought about her in 7 minutes.
A few people chuckle. One guy claps, slow and ironic.
New personal best. Yesterday was 5.
He nods like he's proud, then exhales.
I was actually doing great. Hit the gym, blocked her on everything, started eating Greek yogurt again.
He gestures vaguely.
I was over it. Or at least, I thought I was.
He looks down into his cup.
Then today, I saw someone wearing her hoodie. Same color, same everything. And just like that, brain's a mess.
He shrugs.
So yeah, apparently numbness and healing aren't the same thing. Who knew?
Now, Kyle perfectly embodies trigger number 1, false progress. Here's how it works. The false progress trigger is the moment when an avoidant genuinely believes that they're over you, until a stray memory, a song, or moment makes them realize they were only numb, not actually healed. Now, what's interesting about this is there's actually some psychological basis backing it up. So in past videos, you've probably heard me talk before about how avoidants don't really process grief in real time. There's like this time dilation aspect involved. They suppress and compartmentalize to preserve emotional independence. And this is also known as delayed grief reaction. According to Sondermind, delayed grief is a type of grief that occurs when you cannot process your emotions and feelings of grief following a loss in a timely manner. Instead, these feelings come as waves of grief that you experience over a prolonged period, or they may hit you all at once at a later time. Now, I think what's happening here with Kyle is the hit you at once at a later time aspect to this. And that kicks off the obsessive loop that they can't escape. So Kyle will literally sit there and wonder, wait, if I'm over them, why am I still thinking about that one night that they cried in the car and I didn't say anything? But Kyle is just one of the avoidants at our meeting. I'd like to introduce you to Tasha next. Tasha sits cross-legged, arms folded, calm on the outside, voice steady, but her foot taps under her chair.
I'm Tasha.
Hi, Tasha.
So she posted a picture with her new guy.
She pauses, looks down, then shrugs.
He's nothing like me. Total opposite. Smiles too much, probably like journals.
A couple of people snort. She doesn't smile.
And I know I should be happy for her or whatever, growth, healing, all that. But instead, I've spent 3 days wondering if I was just a phase she had to outgrow or a detour. Like, was I ever actually her type?
She finally looks up. Her voice is a little quieter.
It's not jealousy, it's confusion. If she can be that happy with someone like him, then what the hell was I?
Okay, so this is trigger number 2, the mirror image disruption. One of the things you learn about avoidants is that they often construct these tidy internal narratives to justify leaving you. And one of the most common ones is, we weren't a good match, they were too much, or I need someone different. But then they see you move on, or who you've become since you've left, and it just contradicts everything that they've told themselves. Even worse, though, is when they see you with someone secure, calm, attractive, or basically just happy without them. It disrupts the mirror that they use to define themselves. I did this video a few weeks ago called Avoidants Will Come Back on Their Own If You Do This, which in hindsight is probably a little too clickbaity, but regardless, I'm super proud of that video because what I learned is that one of the top factors that make avoidants come back on their own is them seeing you date someone else. Now, whether you should go back to them or not is an entirely different matter, but psychologically, what's happening here is really interesting. Avoidants protect their fragile self-worth by projecting blame outwards. Have you ever heard of the defensive attribution hypothesis? It's a social psychological concept that describes a cognitive bias where individuals tend to attribute causes of events based on their psychological need to avoid threats to self-esteem or to avoid fear. So when it comes to avoidance, what might be happening is that in order to preserve a sense of control, they'll try to convince themselves that you were the issue. But seeing you thrive, glow up, or find someone better creates cognitive dissonance. Now, their narrative doesn't hold. And if you want to get really juicy, you can even talk about narcissistic injury, even for non-narcissistic avoidance, because their identity is partly built on distancing from perceived emotional neediness. But we're getting way off topic, and we have another volunteer in our Avoidance Anonymous meeting. Let's give the floor to Marcus. Marcus sits forward, elbows on knees, staring at the floor. He doesn't stand, he just speaks.
Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
She used to hum when she did the dishes.
There's a long pause. He's somewhere else now.
Always the same song. I don't even know what it was. Some indie thing with hand claps. Drove me nuts.
He lets out a breath, not quite a laugh.
The new girl doesn't hum. She's quiet, which I thought I wanted. But now I do the dishes in silence and it's like the room echoes. Like something's missing and I can't name it.
He shakes his head slightly.
I didn't even like the humming. So why does the quiet feel worse?
Marcus introduces us to trigger number 3, the emotional home invasion. Now, avoidants think they've sealed the vault. They believe they compartmentalized you and moved on. But then some sort of sensory memory slips past their defenses, a smell, a song, a routine, and it hijacks their emotional state before they can intellectualize it. It's not a thought, it's a feeling. And that makes it more dangerous to them. There's a ton going on here psychologically as well. So avoidants rely on emotional suppression and thought suppression as core defense mechanisms. Emotional suppression, of course, meaning you're pushing down or ignoring your feelings so you don't have to feel them. And thought suppression, meaning you're trying to block or avoid certain thoughts from entering your mind. But sensory memories, like the one Marcus is talking about, are non-verbal and non-voluntary. They're processed through the amygdala and hippocampus before the rational brain can even intervene. This is why an avoidant can go numb for weeks and suddenly feel wrecked after hearing a song you both loved while shopping for toothpaste. What's even crazier, though, is that this phenomenon is also rooted in procedural memory, the kind of long-term memory that links emotion with repeated actions. So even mundane routines like drinking coffee a certain way or walking a familiar route can trigger a surprising emotional flood. And I think that perfectly leads us to Natalie. Natalie sits upright, legs crossed neatly, holding a notebook she never writes in. She gives a polite smile.
I'm Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
So I wrote him a message the other night at 1:43, which is prime make terrible choices hour.
A few people chuckle. She shrugs.
It was long, thoughtful. I used words like maybe and I still wonder and I miss the version of me who existed with you. Then I deleted it, then rewrote it like it was a legal statement. Then I deleted it again.
She taps the notebook absently.
I didn't send it, obviously, but it's been stuck in my head ever since, like some ghost draft I can't close.
She stops, then adds, quieter.
I don't even know what I wanted him to say. I just wanted, I don't know, something real.
This is trigger number 4, the unsent message. So here's how it works. Usually when an avoidant reaches a private tipping point, they'll feel this impulse to reach out, maybe even start typing a text up. But the moment they get close to vulnerability, their defense system slams shut. They delete the message. Probably the most relevant example I can think of is this trend I'm always hearing about on my weekly live streams in my community. Basically, a member will say, hey, things were going so great with my avoidant, and then suddenly, boom, they just disappeared out of nowhere. That's the defense mechanism slamming shut. But perhaps the more alarming thing is that for a lot of avoidants, the emotional act of almost expressing themselves becomes the new obsession, which is where the hot and cold games come into play. Now, why? Why are they doing this? Well, I think it's because avoidants often struggle with emotional ambivalence, the desire for connection clashing with the fear of enmeshment or rejection. So when they start typing a message, they're dipping into that vulnerable part of themselves that does care, that does miss you, that does regret things, but their inner critic or internalized caregiver voice kicks in. You're being weak. They won't respond. You're safer alone. This creates an approach avoidance conflict, a psychological push-pull that leaves them agitated, unsettled, and thinking about you more than if they had just simply sent the message and dealt with the consequences. Let's meet Dante next. So Dante leans back in his chair, arms draped over the sides, legs stretched out. He's composed. Too composed.
I'm Dante.
Hi, Dante.
Met someone new a few weeks ago. She's secure, chill, no mind games, no overthinking, just emotionally competent.
He gives a small nod. He means it.
And I kept waiting to feel something, a spark, a panic, anything.
He shrugs.
But it's just quiet.
He glances around the room like he's checking for judgment. No one speaks.
Which you'd think would be a good thing, but now I can't stop comparing her to someone who supposedly wasn't even right for me.
He pauses, then smiles, but it's hollow.
Turns out, I only know how to fall for people who make me feel like I'm drowning.
This is trigger number 5, the secure stranger. So the avoidant meets someone new who should be perfect. The person is warm, consistent, drama-free, maybe even everything that they've claimed to have wanted. But instead of feeling drawn in, the avoidant feels nothing. Or worse, irritation. That confusion opens the door to a quiet, recurring thought. Why did I feel more with them? Them, of course, is referring to you, the X. Now, if you think I'm going to go on a whole spiel about the Phantom X phenomenon, you're wrong. Instead, I'm going to play this clip from Dr. Nicole LaPera.
Have you ever seen people who have an anxious or an avoidant attachment style get in a relationship with someone who's safe and secure?
I think often you are attracting kind of particular dynamics, though if and when you meet a safe and secure individual, I think often what you'll feel, especially if you are more of the anxious type or the high emotions, you come from a chaotic, stressful childhood typically, you might start to see them as boring. Right.
What Dr. LaPera is referring to is the fact that avoidants often mistake emotional intensity for love because they associate safety with boredom and emotional regulation with control. So when they meet an actual secure person, the nervous system doesn't light up in the same way. There's no threat, there's no chaos, there's no highs and lows to distract them. This absence of activation creates a void, and their mind reflexively goes back to you because with you, they felt something, even if they didn't understand it. But let's meet my favorite avoidant next. Harper. Harper sits sideways in her chair, one leg tucked under the other, hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands. She doesn't make eye contact when she speaks.
I'm Harper.
Hi, Harper.
Hi, Harper.
My friend told me I was different when I was with him. Softer, happier, like I used to laugh more or something.
She rolls her eyes, but it doesn't land.
I told her I didn't remember that version of me. She said, yeah, that's kind of the point.
The group is quiet. Harper picks at her sleeve.
I kept thinking about that, like if I was better back then, and I didn't even know it. Did I lose something or did I just bury it?
She glances up, her voice low.
Anyway, compliments are weird.
She looks away again, folds her arms. Welcome to trigger number 6, the unexpected compliment. So let's say the avoidant is going about their life, keeping things surface level when someone, a mutual friend or a sibling, casually says something like, "You really seemed happy when you were with them," or "You were different back then, softer, lighter." The avoidant, of course, will laugh it off, but internally that comment splits them open. See, avoidants aren't in tune with their emotional shifts. They often suppress positive emotions just as much as negative ones. I mean, this entire video is literally proof of that. But when someone reflects back to them how they appeared while they were with you, it bypasses their internal narrative and forces them to consider, wait, was I actually better with them? This taps into a psychological concept called reflected appraisal. The idea that we come to know ourselves through how others see us. It's jarring for an avoidant who typically sees themselves as self-sufficient and emotionally unaffected. And if that compliment contradicts the story they've been telling themselves, I was suffocated, not supported, the dissonance becomes obsessive. So what are we supposed to make of all these triggers? Should you try to use them against avoidance, play chess with their emotions? I can see some of you nodding your heads, but I think that's actually the wrong lesson here. The lesson to me, at least, is this. Even when they push you away, even when they act like they don't care, their nervous system does remember you. Their mind loops on what they couldn't process in real time. And that should tell you something. You were never too much. You were never forgettable. You were never the problem. So the next time you catch yourself wondering what you could have done differently, remember this. They're likely still thinking about you. But you get to choose yourself this time. And that choice is louder than anything they never said.